Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that, and we back again. It's good to be here another week. Oh man, tonight's show is gonna be very, very amazing. I know you guys know that I always like to bring that controversy every now and then. I like to bring that heat every now and then. This is a special episode. I have a friend of mine that's on the airways with us. I'm gonna bring him on, but I'm not in studio by myself. Mr. Grantastic is coming back from vacation in Jamaica. Well, from Jamaica, and I have my little homie, my little brother here, Mo. He's in the building with us as well. Say hi to the people real
What
quick.
it is, what it is. Mo the Militant in the building.
Mo the Militant is in the building. Listen, so I want to bring on the guest right now without further ado because I want him to introduce himself and I want you guys to get to know him a little bit before we dive into a discussion that I feel like is needed right now, especially in our local area. John, how you
Hey,
doing, sir?
it's been a long time. Thanks for having me back.
Oh man, no problem at all. I thought they was getting us already when you said you was in the back office waiting. I'm like, I don't even see him back there.
Yeah, and you know what? I went in twice. We're doing it on my phone now. I hope that there's not an echo or something, or it's a
No,
problem for us. Good.
no, you're good. You're good. Volume is good. Everything is good.
Great.
So, real quick, introduce yourself to everyone, to the audience. My audience has grown since the last time we talked.
Excellent.
So there's a lot of people that are going to be watching that don't know who you are or haven't done their research, and that's why I wanted to bring you back on the show to talk
Thank you.
about some stuff that we know that is a reality that most people don't know because
Yes.
we've experienced some things.
Yes,
So just
indeed.
introduce yourself real quick.
Sure. My name is John Kiriakou. I spent 15 years at the CIA, mostly in counterterrorism operations. I was the chief of CIA counterterrorism operations in Pakistan after 9/11. And I was responsible in 2002 for the capture of Abu Zubaydah, who we believed at the time was the number three in Al Qaeda. He was not the number three, although he was a very bad man. He
Yeah.
was not the number three. And when I got to headquarters at the end of my tour in Pakistan, I was asked if I wanted to be, their words, trained in the use of enhanced interrogation techniques. I said I had a moral, ethical, and legal, frankly, problem. I believe this was a torture program and it was illegal. Of the 14 people they asked, I was the only one who said no. I did not want to be trained in the use of torture techniques. I left the CIA a few years later, and and then finally in December of 2007, after waiting for years for somebody to say something about the torture of Abu Zubaydah and other prisoners, I decided to blow the whistle on the torture program in a nationally televised interview on ABC News, December of '07. The Justice Department came down on my head like a ton of bricks. They charged me with 5 felonies, including 3 counts of espionage for saying that we were torturing prisoners. I was facing 45 years in prison, and I ended up coming to a plea agreement. I'm the only American who has pled guilty to violating the Intelligence Identities Protection Act of 1981. It's a total bullshit law, but I pled to it to make the thing go away. And I served 23 months in a federal prison, a real prison, no club fed for me. And you know, they turned me into a martyr, Randy, and they turned me into a spokesman for human rights.
Wait, when you was in prison, I definitely want you to say this. What group did you find out actually liked you while you were in there?
You know, it's a story. I actually wrote a book about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a book called Doing Time Like a Spy: How the CIA Taught Me to Survive and Thrive in Prison.
Yes, I read that book. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm very proud of it. I've written 7 books, and that's the one I'm the most proud of. I won 2 literary awards for that book. But
Okay.
when I first got to prison, I was there for like 2 hours. And the only thing that the cop said to me when he was processing me in, I mean, he didn't say hello or anything. The only thing he said was, if someone walks into your cell uninvited, that's an act of aggression. And I thought, great, I've been here for like 15 minutes and I'm going to get my ass kicked now. So sure enough, two guys walk into my cell. One of them has a swastika that takes up his entire neck, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other one had "fuck you" tattooed on his eyelids. So every time he blinked, you know. So I jump up and I put my fists up and I go, "What do you want?" As tough as I could. And one of them says to me, "Are you the new guy?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Are you a fag?" And I said, "No." "Are you a rat?" I said, "No, I'm not a rat. I didn't testify against anybody." He said, "Are you a chomo?" I said, and I'm still standing there like this. I go, "I don't know what that word means." And he goes, "Chomo, child molester." I said, "No, I'm not a child molester." And he says, "Okay, you can sit with the Aryans in the cafeteria." And I thought, great. So now I'm with the Aryans. About 4 days later, two African-American guys walk in, like totally ripped muscle, the kind of guys who work out for, 4 hours a day. Just
Right.
every inch of their body is just rippling muscle. And one of them's holding a newspaper. And again, they walk in and I jump up and I said, "What do you want?" And one of them like gingerly hands me the newspaper and he says, "Are you the CIA guy?" And I said, "Yeah." And the newspaper, I see it's the Nation of Islam newspaper. And he says, there's an article about me on the front page. And the guy says, "Reverend Farrakhan said you're a hero of the Muslim people. And we wanted to tell you you're not going to have any problems with us." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I got to shake his hand. He's like, "Yeah, we don't do that." I said, "Yeah, that's cool. That's cool." So then a while later, I happened to be, my cell was directly across the hall from the acting boss of the Bonanno crime family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we would, I would give him my New York Times when I was done, and he would give me his New York Post, and we would, watch ball games and whatever. And finally he said to me, "Let me ask you a question." He said, "Why do you sit with those Nazi retards in the cafeteria?" And I said, I don't know. My first day here, they told me to sit with them, and it was either them or the Chomos, so I'm sitting with them. And then very dramatically, he goes, "From today, you're with the Italians." And so for the rest of my time, I sat with the Italians.
Yeah.
And they took good care of me, really good care of me. I gained 35 pounds in prison because the Italians cook like it's Goodfellas every single night.
Yeah. 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 Wow. That's that, man. That's what's up. It's always good. It's always refreshing when I talk to someone who's been through some similar stuff. Because this journey that we're on can be kind of lonely sometimes.
Oh, listen, man, I've got a good friend who's been on the same journey, and he just couldn't snap out of it. That post-prison depression and malaise, you're thinking everybody hates you, you can't get a job, everybody's looking at you funny, and he hung himself a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So this is a real struggle for a lot of guys.
Yeah, man. My condolences to you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe he did it. And to make it worse, he left a suicide note, and all he wrote in it was to his mom, and he said, "Call John and tell him I said I'm sorry."
Wow.
It was awful.
I was sharing with I call him my little bro, and that's not a disrespectful term. That's just, I view him as my little brother. But I was talking to my little bro Mo, and I was just talking about in casual conversation with him and my big brother, and I was saying like how activism and speaking truth to power and whistleblowing in the last couple of years have become trendy. But us that's really been doing this and that really put their life on the line to expose the truth and not our opinions.
That's right.
Man, it's a lonely road, man. And
That's
we get kind of, well, I know for me, I get kind of upset at the people who are new to the scene that are just throwing out information when they haven't really researched or gone through anything. You know, it's like how can you throw a rookie Kobe Bryant in the game and say he's as equal as a prime Michael Jordan? He's not developed yet.
That's right.
You know, and that's how I feel when I look at these new activists and whistleblowers and people who want to drain the swamp and all this stuff. It's just like you haven't really experienced what this fight is about.
No.
And that's what I want to talk about tonight.
Oh man, truer words have not been spoken. You are absolutely right. And listen, activism is great. Everybody should be out there on the street. I write about it all the time. I talk about it all the time. Everybody should be out there fighting for what's right. At the same time, you know, you can't just go out and scream nonsensical stuff and then go home and, you know, sleep in your bed at night. You got to live it at the same time.
Yeah.
You got to live it. There's a publication I'm sure you're aware of called Prison Legal News magazine.
Yes.
There's a sister publication now called Criminal Legal News, which is more geared toward attorneys. But I would encourage everybody to read Prison Legal News. It's pln.org.
pln.org.
It's the most fantastic collection of monthly articles on the criminal justice system, on prisons and prison life, everything from COVID to appeals to crooked cops and wardens on the take. I mean, if it's in the news anywhere in America, it's going to be in Prison Legal News magazine.
Yeah.
The guy who founded Prison Legal News is a good friend of mine by the name of Paul Wright. You know, you look at Paul and he's just kind of Joe Blow white guy. You wouldn't look at him twice. He's just a normal looking guy. The truth is Paul's a convicted murderer. He used to be an MP in the Navy. He was stationed in Seattle, and he was always off on Saturdays. And so as a hobby, as insane as this sounds, as a hobby, he used to drive around Seattle on Saturday nights and rob drug dealers.
Wow.
And so he said 99% of the time, they were so scared and surprised that they would just hand over their money and their drugs.
Right.
Well, one guy pulled a gun on him. And so Paul pulled his gun and he shot the guy right between the eyes and killed him and got caught within hours.
Wow.
He got 20 to life. He did the 20. But in the last 5 years of his sentence, he started Prison Legal News magazine in prison.
Okay.
And it was just him writing articles about day-to-day life in prison. Well, now it's an award-winning, 75-page magazine that comes out every month, and it's the definitive source for information that's important to people like you and to me who want to change the system. It was Paul that gave me this statistic that I fall back on all the time, and this is something we should all be thinking about. And that is that the United States has 5% of the world's population, and we have 25% of the world's prison population.
Yeah.
That 1 out of every 5 black men is either in prison, in jail, on probation, or on parole. No other country in the world has statistics like that. None. Nobody even comes close. And I'm talking about Russia, China, Iran, Cuba, countries that we criticize all the time.
Yeah.
And, when I go overseas, and I give these speeches overseas a lot, people can't believe the numbers that I give them.
Yeah.
And I say, too, as part of my regular speeches, I've written about this a couple of times. Congress, over the last 20 years, has created 50 new crimes every year. Not 50 new laws, 50 new crimes.
Wow.
So what that means is something that you did a year ago that was perfectly legal is now a felony. Okay, over the last 20 years, they've added 1,000 new felonies to the books.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, and I'm sorry for monopolizing the time. But
No. This is my platform. We good. You good. We can go.
Oh, thanks. I followed the case of a woman in Hawaii who was an employee of the Department of Commerce. She worked for a part of commerce called NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So they're the ones who study like sea temperature and air temperature and the tracks of hurricanes and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So she was a GS-12, so she wasn't making much money. She's probably making at the time in the low 60s, and Hawaii's expensive. So what she did is she and a partner bought a boat, and on weekends they would take tourists out on the boat to go look for whales. So one day they're out on the ocean and they're looking for whales, and they find a killer whale and it's eating a seal, or at least the remains of a seal. So everybody runs to the side of the boat and they're taping it and taking pictures of it. Somebody whistled, right? Just like that, just to try to get the whale to, stay near the surface of the water so they could take a picture. Okay, 2 weeks pass. Then one day, FBI at the door. She answers the door. FBI, are you so-and-so? Yes. Do you have a boat? You take tourists out? Yes. Were you out 2 weeks ago? Yes. Did you whistle at the whale? She said, no. Somebody did. I remember somebody whistled at the whale. It wasn't me. And then she says, but you know what? I tape these excursions and I sell the DVDs to the tourists. So let me look. The FBI comes back to her house with a warrant. They confiscate her computer, her cell phone, hundreds of DVDs. They go over everything, and they charge her with a felony count of interfering with the feeding of a wild animal, which is a violation of the Endangered Species Act. 5 years in prison and loss of your federal pension.
Wow.
This case dragged on for years. The government spent more than $1 million prosecuting her before they finally knocked it down to a misdemeanor. But she lost her job, she lost her boat, she lost her pension, she lost everything in her life. You and I can relate to that. I lost everything in my life for my stupid, it wasn't stupid, for my whistleblowing.
Yeah.
But these kinds of laws are on the books now, and this is how prosecutors get promoted. They don't get promoted by not prosecuting you. They only get promoted by prosecuting you and getting you the longest prison sentence that they can get. That's how they get ahead in life.
And John, it's funny because I literally was sitting here while you were talking, and I was thinking about my own journey, and how we used to work for the same client, if you will, and how my story had ended with that client. Do you hear a popping noise?
I do. It just started when you started talking.
Uh-oh. Hold on, let me see. All right, let's see if it goes away now. It's still there?
It's still there.
Oh, I knew they was gonna mess with us eventually. It's all
Always.
good.
Always.
This ain't the first rodeo.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, they so just leave it. So I remember going into work one day, and I was gonna pull up the pictures that I had about I remember I'm gonna pull these pictures up and I'm gonna show you, John. I was gonna actually have them on the show, but I'll just show this part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
So I remember going into work one day, and I remember working the first because I had to be at work at 0500.
Yes.
And I got off at 2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember coming from lunch, me and my mentor, by the way, we were coming from lunch, and dang, that sound is pissing me off. I know it's been messing with us, but anyway, um, I remember coming back from lunch, and my mentor went inside before me, and then he came back out. He said, "Don't go inside." I was like, "Well, I got my bag and stuff, and I got to go get it. Why? What's going on?" And he was like, um, the police are looking for you because you know they have their own police there
Yes.
in the building. I worked in the DDs, and so I go in there anyway. I go to scan my badge, didn't work, and I'm like, okay. The police come, they pull me, they take me into interrogation. Mind you, I don't know what's going on yet.
No.
Now this was before I knew I've been harassed by the FBI before I got this job and all that. I knew that. But I thought it would go away because, hey, I'm working and I'm, doing my thing. And at this moment I'm kind of quiet. I'm not as quiet, but I'm quiet. And next thing you know,
push this over. I was catching every time.
I think it's this microphone. That's great. No, it's doing it. Okay, so anyway, so I'm in this interrogation and I'm there for 8 hours. All I have is water. I think I told you this before. All I had was water. They're pulling up my personal email. They're pulling up my personal text messages. They're pulling up my phone conversations that they recorded. They have recordings of. Because people don't realize that your phone conversations are recorded, whether you are tapped or not, thanks to NSA. And I remember sitting there, not being able to use the bathroom. I had a little small, like little Dixie cup full of water that I was allowed to use. And let me see something real quick. That noise is bothering me. Oh, okay, John, do you have your phone like laying on something?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Okay. How about that?
Okay, that's better.
Okay.
Yep, that's what it is. Okay. So oh no, actually that's not.
Still hear.
Oh well. We're gonna keep going anyway. They screwed with us last time. And so long story short, what they said, they were pretty much saying that I'm anti-government. I'm trying to infiltrate them to get information and build a militia to overthrow the government. And
ridiculous.
And I'm a cult leader because I teach certain things from the scriptures. Because people don't realize that they infiltrate churches. They will sit and say hallelujah right behind you in the church. And sometimes they could be the person preaching over the pulpit, and you don't even know it until you're called into the courtroom. But they said that I made $2 million in boxing, and I didn't put it on my financial disclosure. That was the reason why they got rid of me. And I'm like, bro, I haven't boxed in years to even earn that type of money, And as I left there, I actually had joined up with the ACLU to get my FBI file because and I have it right here. I sent let me put the camera back on me for a second. I sent for a FOIA request for myself.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to get a response?
So this is the crazy part, John. Their response to me was I didn't give a proper description of myself for them to pull my file. And so I got the ACLU lawyers involved, and they pulled the file. They got the file, but it's redacted.
Ugh.
Like all you see is that I'm under physical surveillance and under digital surveillance, and the dates in the dates on it, the month, the date, the day, and the year that I'm on. So they've been watching me since 2014, all the way up to now. Now, mind you, people don't realize, and this is what I'm getting to. People don't realize when I used to have my podcast back in 2013, 2014, before it was called podcasting, and everyone had one and all that stuff. What I realized was that I was exposing a lot of what they were about to do. And I was just doing research, and I was doing deductive reasoning, critical thinking, and analyzing things. 1 + 1 = 2. So I would say, hey, at this time, on this day, some unarmed black person is going to get shot.
Yeah.
The United Nations is going to go and they're going to talk about this. Like, based upon the unclassified information I had and just being smart, I was able to put 2 and 2 together because there's a project called the Black Awakening where they have agents of chaos that go around and they do things and they false flag it. So they'll say, oh, it was so-and-so that did it, but they were the ones that trained that individual to commit that act. And not all of them. You have some lunatics out there. But anyway, I said all that to say, just the other day, I walk outside my house. Oh, mind you, John, we're in a new church building, by the way. And I go to my church, and I'm the media guy, so I go on my Wi-Fi to connect the new computer that we had. FBI surveillance pops up.
They're so smart, but they're so dumb.
Yes. And then on top of that, then I'm going to throw it back to you. Then on top of that, not only did they have it, I walk outside my house the other day, and I got video and footage. I'm going to put it all up on after the show is over. I'm going to put it all up. I got it on my phone. And I got it saved in other areas, too. Where they have a blue van sitting diagonal from the front of my house. And they are like so open. Like one time I walk out, there's a convenience store right across from my house. They literally get out the car and they wave at me. Like, how obvious do you want to be? Like, just, hey, how you doing? We're watching you. And then like go back into their car. Like they've been upping they like to show that they're watching, and they use the same tactics as the older days. And now they have me classified as a black identity extremist and a whole bunch of stuff that they're using to legally surveillance as an activist. But I just want to throw that reality out there because,
my God,
believe it or not, John, a lot of people won't listen to me because of the way I look. I'm black. I got dreadlocks, kind of heavy set, and so people won't listen to me. But if they hear from someone who looks opposite of me, who's saying the same thing, who's been through similar stuff, then maybe we can get the masses of people to wake up and realize that we need to come together to fight against a common enemy, which is the system and not each other. So what are your thoughts on that?
You're so right. Their tactics often, as you correctly described, are in your face kind of surveillance. And the reason they do that, it's actually quite tactical. They do that when they don't have anything to pin on you. They do it to try to upset you, to provoke you, so that you end up doing something that you otherwise wouldn't have done. You know, when they had my wife and me under surveillance, which was just after my arrest, but before my conviction, they followed us literally everywhere, even into church. Now, I always sit in the same pew in church. I always sit front pew. To tell you the honest to God's truth, not because I'm terribly religious, but just so I can be the first one out when it's over. I don't have to wait for everybody else. So they went and sat immediately behind me, right? Well, this is a Greek Orthodox church. We stand, we sit, we stand, we sit, we kneel, we stand, we sit, we stand. It's constantly up and down. They didn't know what they were doing, so they made fools of themselves. Then at one point, I had to take a leak, and the bathroom is in the basement. So I walked out of my pew toward the exit. They followed me, and I turned around. I was like, guys, I got to take a leak. Do you mind? Well, they followed me all the way down to the basement and stood outside the bathroom until I was finished, and then followed me back in again to the first and second pews. They followed us into restaurants when we took the kids out. They followed us grocery shopping. They followed us when we drove the kids to school. They panicked one time because I got on the Dulles access road and I was driving out to Dulles Airport. I picked up a buddy of mine who had flown in, and they called while we were on the Dulles access road. They called my attorney to say that they thought I was fleeing. I was fleeing the jurisdiction. So my attorney called me in a panic. He's like, where are you? I said, I'm on the Dulles access road. Are you leaving? I said, no, I'm going to pick a friend of mine up. He's flying in from Cincinnati. Oh, the FBI called. They think you're fleeing the jurisdiction. I said, I've not been convicted of a crime. I can go anywhere I want.
Yeah.
But they used to do this all the time. I was teaching a class at George Washington University. This is the summer.
Hey, John.
12. Arrested, but I've not been convicted. And then, yeah.
Hold on, because they messing with us so bad. I want to be able to hear you, so I want you to click off and join back in. Okay.
I ain't do nothing to y'all. Y'all don't got bothered me while I'm on here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yo, he was spitting.
Only time I've ever had problems on this show is when I've had people who can confirm my story and has been through similar stuff, and we are exposing them for who they are and what they really do.
First time RZA was on,
Oh man, the first time I had RZA on, they really shut that down. Yeah. So okay, let's get John back in here.
There we go.
Okay.
How's that? Does that work?
Yeah, that sounds a lot better.
Okay, good.
You know how they get down. So
yeah, it was so bad I could barely understand you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I stream every Monday and never have this problem unless I have people like you confirming my story and your story. That's when it starts messing up.
And here it goes again.
Yeah.
I'll
go ahead.
Get this out. So I'm teaching a class at George Washington University called Surveillance and Surveillance Detection. It was a group of 16 rising juniors and seniors, and I taught them how to do a surveillance detection route and how to recognize when you're under surveillance. So we started at the GW campus, downtown Washington. We went up to DuPont Circle, and then there's a bridge, the P Street Bridge that connects DuPont Circle with Georgetown. Now, because of Rock Creek Park, that's the only way to get from DuPont Circle to Georgetown. It's called a channel. So we're crossing the bridge, and I said that if you're under surveillance, they're going to anticipate that you're going to cross the bridge. And so they'll have somebody not just behind you, but they'll have somebody in front of you waiting for you to cross the bridge. For example, I said, you notice at the end of the bridge, there was a woman in a brown Ford Taurus. So I said, what you would do is make a mental note that there's a woman, brown hair, wearing a t-shirt, whatever. She's in a brown Ford Taurus, Maryland license plate number, whatever.
Yeah.
And we continue with the rest of the route. As we're headed back to GW, my lawyer calls me and he said, what are you doing right now? I said, I'm teaching a class. He said, the FBI just called me and said that you're acting very suspiciously, like you're doing a surveillance detection route. And I said, Plato, I'm teaching a surveillance detection class, and tell them that a group of 20-year-olds spotted all their surveillance. and they're not as smart as they think they are.
Yeah.
But this is what they do. They just harass.
Yeah. And you're right.
Just harass.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's crazy because when I talked to the ACLU lawyer's attorney, I literally had a bunch of evidence to show them. They even do stupid stuff like this, John. I'm gonna show you this real quick. So if you look at the bottom of it, you'll see it says surveillance ban.
Yes.
Okay, and then
yes, indeed, unbelievable.
Yeah, I got so much. Oh, this was the icing on the cake. So this was me in my car. I'm going to zoom in and show you what that white car says. You see that? So let me zoom in. Let me zoom in and show you what that car says, and you'll be able to see it better.
You've got to be kidding me.
That's how dumb they
police.
are.
So it's the uniformed FBI. Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, but I laugh at it because that's the only way I know how to get through it, because we don't have like a club that we can go to talk to one another, to express how we're feeling, or to get the emotional drainage that we go through on a day-to-day basis. No. Like, they've harassed my wife. I have a FBI informant in my religious organization that they don't even know, and I've been saying it for months. They don't even realize how obvious they are. And when I say informant, this is not an FBI agent. This is an informant, someone who's cooperating and giving them information.
Yeah.
Right. And it sucks sometimes when you I want to blow the whistle and keep sharing the truth, and people get swept away with the FBI tactics. They try to defame your character. They try to say you did A, B, and C. And this is the same tactics they used back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And people just don't want to listen to it. But you're one of my heroes. You, Ed Snowden.
Thank you.
Barrett Brown is one of my associates as well.
Oh yeah.
And a good guy, man. I read an article last week, I believe, or last week. Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true. He's out. He's out of jail. They had him in a detention center, like a pre expulsion immigrant detention center, and they said that they're going to expel from the UK, but at least he's not in jail anymore.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I have a guy.
He made a mistake. He made a mistake. I laugh about it, but it's really not funny.
Yeah,
he went into the UK illegally, right? He's banned from the UK, but he's seeing a British woman, so he got himself into the UK somehow. And then he participated in an anti-police rally. And he was not just participating, he was at the very front of the police rally. And they had these three signs, and it said, "All cops kill." And what he did is he rearranged the signs, but said, "Kill all cops."
Yeah.
And they arrested him.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know Barrett's story. A lot of people don't understand how even Anonymous got started, and how they started off as a joke group that wanted to just harass a government, and became popular, and blew up, and they exposed a lot of things. And a lot of us are all in the same. It's a small world. When you're in our world, it's a small world, and everyone knows a piece of somebody or everyone. But man, John, they are jacking with our stuff tremendously. What I want to do is this.
Constantly, and now I don't. Are you following the case of Daniel Hale, the drone whistleblower?
Say that again.
Daniel Pale, the bro.
Oh yeah. Are you following the case of Daniel Hale, the drone whistleblower?
I've did a little bit, but I'm not following it as much as I should. No. So tell me what's going on.
This poor guy, he blew the whistle on the drone program and how we're killing civilians. Excuse me. We're killing civilians and then pretending that we're not. And so he sent information to the Intercept, and they arrested him, but he was released on bail pending trial. Sorry.
Oh, you good?
Something got in my throat. And so the FBI decided, oh, you know what? Daniel Hale is depressed, so he must be suicidal. So they got the judge to revoke his bail, and they put him in solitary confinement. They said for his own safety, just because they didn't want him out of bail. So his bail was revoked. He called me from jail last weekend, and he said he wasn't suicidal. He goes, I am now, because I'm in solitary confinement until further notice. But this is just another tactic that they use to break you.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Man, there's so much we could dive into with this stuff, man. The Intercept, a lot of the media outlets that we used to be able to go to, we can't really go to them no more because they've been infiltrated by ex-police officers, ex-military.
Yeah.
And even the guy, what's his name? Greenwich. Greenwald. Yeah, he's kind of backed off of kind of helping us as well. And but
big time.
I want to build my platform to where we can blog and like news outlet. We can do this stuff because we really need an outlet for what we're doing because it's not about us. It's not like we ask for the spotlight. It's not like we ask to get the wounds that we carry are not like we're inviting them. We just want the truth to be out.
Yeah.
If we really,
it's about the truth.
If we really, like at the end of the day, people like me and you, John, we just want to be with our family, nice little dog, our pets or whatever, live off the grid and enjoy the rest of our life. But we can't because we see that the people need us. They really do need us. So, yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. We've got a friend in Matt Taibbi. He used to be with Rolling Stone, and now he's on Substack. And Matt's a great friend to whistleblowers, and he's got more than 1 million followers on Twitter. He's a major player. He's quoted all the time in the mainstream media. But he's a great friend to whistleblowers. And he just started this new thing on Substack too. He's making millions of dollars. But just in the last couple of days, he wrote a piece saying that he wants other people to start writing about, if you have a unique perspective on something, and you clearly do, and you've got the personal history to back it up. He wants to publish pieces by people like that.
Oh, wow.
And so he said, for example, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. If you're a doctor or scientist and you know of wrongdoing, at wherever, NIH or your local hospital or whatever it is, write something. I'll publish it. If you're a cop and you want to talk about corruption in the, Baltimore Police Department, write something. I'll publish it. So he said, even if you're a garbage man and you want to talk about, mob influence in the carting industry, write about it. So at least there are some people out there that are willing to take the risk of supporting truth tellers.
Yeah, you have to send me his information. I would love to. I was trying to work with this one reporter. But and my brick broken voucher. But after hearing parts of my story, I think she got a phone call or a knock on the door and was like, I'm not gonna do this no more. And I don't want to
Man,
say her name
see
because I don't want
what
to
they do.
destroy her character. I don't want to say her
Yeah.
name because I don't want to destroy her character. But yeah, it starts with the A. I'll say that. And the last name starts with the S.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. You know who
Yeah, I
I'm
do.
talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, we all have to be careful.
Yeah.
Terrible.
John, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a 10-minute break. At 8:30, I have Jared Ball coming on, who's with ACLU and that whole. He has his own show and all that, and he actually had Barrett on his show
Great.
before the whole thing. So what I'm going to say is, if you want to hop off, that's fine. If you want to stay on and join us, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, I'm fine with.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna take a quick 10-minute break, and I'm gonna text your phone. And when we come back from this quick commercial break, we'll continue on the show.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
It wasn't enough time, yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that, and I want to appreciate everyone who's watching, even though we on our end are saying that no one's watching, but we know that that's a cap because at the end of each episode, I pull up the stats and I realize that thousands of people are watching. I even sent the text messages to my co-hosts, my host and my co-host about that, and realized that 8.1K?
Yeah.
That be watching the shows?
And international.
Oh, wait a minute. Matter of fact, for those who might think I'm capping, I'm going on my YouTube app right now, and I want you to do the same thing. I want you to type in Chew Radio, and I want you to go to the previous episode that we had, which was season 2, episode 16. And if you can see it, we had 6.6K views on that show that streamed last Monday. You see that? 6.6K. If I click on it, because and you see it playing, notice the number has changed to 7K viewers. You notice that? So I just wanted to show y'all that they be capping on this joint, man. They just don't want me to expose the information that I know. But enough with the cap stuff. Mo, talk to me. What's going on, bro?
Ain't nothing, man. Just ready to just be an eventful summer, man.
Yeah.
Take it in, man. Just appreciate life, yo. All I gotta say is just for anybody's watching, man, appreciate life, yo. And if you have been hesitant, don't be hesitant no more, man. Take that opportunity, take that chance, yo, and put pressure on everybody.
Put pressure on their neck.
That's all it's about, yo.
Yo, you told me something earlier. You said that something happened in the state of Maryland. What happened, bro?
You talking about the city?
Yeah.
Man, listen. It's some good elected officials.
The city where we from.
City of Annapolis, some good elected officials, man. Some cool elected officials.
Yeah.
And some coon elected officials.
Talk.
And then some weak elected officials all around, man. We come from a city. You know how Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us, right? You know what I'm saying? If you pay attention to roots, they didn't land on Annapolis Dock. When Annapolis Dock landed on them, man. We live in a city where racism has been perpetuated for years, and now it's not overtly racist. It's not overtly shown. It's really covertly. Excuse me, I'm tripping. Covertly shown in the city, man. It gets shown through funding, um, resources,
That's
something that has we've been deprived from in our black communities for far too long. And I just been tired of the symbolic victories. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the all of the dedications, the monuments. That's good, fine, and dandy. Keep those up, but we need financial compensation. I don't need you to tell me about my history that I already know. How you gonna rectify the horrible past that has just pretty much depleted our communities. I mean, like took everything away from us, financially, morally, spiritually. Like this is stuff that is not just gonna happen with a snap of finger. It's not gonna happen in a day, a month, or a year. This summer's gonna take some time. But we need leaders who are committed, and a lot of leaders just don't be committed, and a lot of the community has been robbed morally and spiritually. That they not even aware that they're getting robbed still. A lot of them be celebrating stuff and not paying attention to the stuff that they should be paying attention to. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing. And you gotta liberate yourself from that. And like I be trying to be more clear with people because I was just like that. You couldn't tell younger me that designer, flashy cars, and all that stuff. It wasn't everything. I much rather. At a point in time in my life, I was more proud of than my designer belt than I was my high school diploma. And that's something that I had to get over and realize, like, young boy, this designer belt gonna always be here, but there's millions of brothers that look like you who were robbed out of their chance at that diploma, who didn't get a chance to get the diploma, who didn't have the opportunities to get the diploma. So I just be trying to spit to the community, trying to help them understand, like, the great things in life and what you should be appreciative of and what you should be knowledgeable of. And that's why people be like, oh, you always talking that politics stuff. But I learned a long time ago that politics is power, but power really derives from the people. I be telling people all the time, like, yo, we the ones who put them there. You know what I'm saying? Don't be out here saying to yourself and don't rob yourself out of this opportunity by putting pressure. That's why I mentioned pressure earlier. Saying politicians, all they do is lie and trick you and lead you the wrong way. Why they keep doing that? Why do you even allow them to do that? Why is there no pressure on them? You know what I'm saying? We know that the system is broke. We know that the system ain't made for it. So is we gonna keep saying that the system is broke, or we gonna try to abolish that system and rebuild a system that is made for us? Or we gonna try to infiltrate that system the same way they infiltrated our systems? You feel me? Ain't nothing wrong with infiltration if you're doing it for the better, for the good of the people, dog. And that's what I be trying to tell my people though. Like, yo, just pay attention. Oh, don't be scared to enlighten your brothers and sisters. Don't be scared to empower your brothers and sisters. Don't be scared to show love, and don't be scared to forgive. And because one of the worst things we have in our community is our pride. A lot of people be beefing over stuff that's just real pointless to be beefing over. And it goes on for decades. And if we put that same type of energy in unifying with one another and building up instead of dividing and destroying, do you know how far we will be as people, dog? Because I mean, our community is full of people who are innovators, intelligent individuals, very distinctive minded individuals, and a bunch of leaders who don't even know that they're leaders yet. Now if we help our people reach their full potential, just imagine how far we will get. We derive from kings and queens, bro. If we really knew our history going all the way back to Africa, you would know that a lot of us derive from royalty. And there was times where the whole community was considered royalty because of the morals we had before, our communities were destroyed over there in Africa, before our communities was destroyed here in America. You gotta think we call each other soul brother, soul sister. What's up, my brother? We the only ones who treat each other like families. You can't go into no other type of ethnic group where they talk to each other like that, like everybody is considered family. And that's one thing we always got to remember is always having that communal approach because we all are connected. You know, our struggle connected us,
Yeah.
even if we weren't coming out that same womb. You know, you had the same type of struggles as me. You know, when I look
Yeah.
at you, you look at me, we the same color, we the same person. um and when we go into, you know, the other world that's not our world, they treat us like we're the same person. They're not
Yeah.
gonna treat me different because my name is Mo and my brother name is Randy. Nah, they look at us the
Right.
same.
Right. And I appreciate what you said. That was very heartfelt. And people gotta realize, man, once we stop looking at each other as the enemy and fight who the real enemy is, man, we can come a long
For
way.
real.
Um, and we have the other guest on here. Um, so this gentleman that I'm about to bring on the screen, and Mo, I know you have a schedule, so if you gotta whatever,
No, you
whenever you
good, you
gotta
good,
do, you know
you
what I
good.
mean.
I'll tell you, you
Um,
good though for the most part.
but let me introduce our next guest on here. I want him to introduce himself. Then we're gonna have another discussion about exposing their lies. And let me tell you about this gentleman that I'm about to bring on. I have so much respect for this man, and I don't know him. I don't know him, but he doesn't even realize he did something for me this year that encouraged me so much and uplifted my spirit. And I don't think he realized. He's gonna realize it before the end of the show, though. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jared Ball on the True Radio Show. I mix what I like on Instagram. That should let you know what type of man this man is.
Yo, that shit is that your Twitter name too?
Yeah, that's his
Yeah.
Twitter.
You just celebrated something like your anniversary or something or somebody's birthday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
My 17th wedding anniversary. I appreciate you catching that.
Yo, I even know you. I knew you was gonna be on it, but I didn't know this was you. Like I seen it. I follow you on Twitter. That's yo, it's crazy how life works,
How
dog.
life works.
It's
Happy anniversary.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Happy
happy
I
anniversary.
appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And,
So, Jared, tell
and
everybody.
forgive me.
Quick.
Make sure I get everybody else's handle. If I haven't followed you back, I need to
I got
fix
you. I'll
that.
send you a DM.
Oh yeah. We'll send it to you and make sure you do that. Jared, tell everybody who you are, what you do before we dive into this very controversial topic discussion.
Well, I mean, I'm a husband and a father of two beautiful daughters, and professionally, I teach Africana and Media Studies at Morgan State University in Baltimore, and I'm a co-founder and host at Black Power Media. And folks can find me and us at I Mix What I Like, and I appreciate you inviting me here.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So let me tell people because I tried to get my ACLU attorneys, lawyers to come on the show as well. And they just texted me maybe an hour ago and said that they wasn't going to be able to make it, but I feel free to discuss anything that I have going on that we've already agreed upon because there's certain stuff we can't discuss, if you know what I mean. But you had an episode with one of my associates on your show, Barrett Brown.
Oh, wow.
And listening, first of all, I haven't talked to or seen Barrett Brown in years. And I just so happened, I'm like, okay, let me look and see what Jared does, and I go on there and you're interviewing him. You have another black young man on there as well. Look, one of my audience is saying Morgan State whoop whoop. And so a lot of the stuff that you and Barrett were discussing, first of all, was great information. If no one knows what I'm talking about, please subscribe to this man's YouTube channel, Black Media. Is that right? It's Black Media, right?
Black Power Media, Black Power Media, and it's a collective of me and some of my comrades that put it together, and it's got expanding roster of shows and just trying to create another public sphere and share resources and build out to try, anyway. So, but yeah.
I just had another one of my associates on the show from 7:30 to 8:30. John was a former CIA operative.
Kiriakou.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
He literally just got off. He just got off the show. If you at the end of this show, if you go back to the beginning, we started at 7:30. He literally just left. I had him on a few times before. He's a very good associate. I actually called him a friend because we text and we talk, stuff like that. And we have shared experience with one another. But I just want to say, brother, before I get into the topic and stuff, that I really appreciate your courage. Because I haven't found a lot of people. I've been doing podcasting, is what they call it now. I've been doing this since 2013, and I haven't found many people who really dive into those deep topics the way that you did with Barrett. And I watched your mannerism and your posture on that, brother. And I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for you. And that show encouraged me. And even though, Barrett got caught up a couple weeks ago, and, some stuff or whatever, and John was actually updating us about what was going on with that. But anyway, I want to dive into the topic. I want to talk about like exposing the lies, man, the FBI surveillance, the harassment, the how we can come together as a people. What are some things that we need to strengthen in our own community? Like that's the direction and avenue I want to go in, man. I felt like you were perfect for that because not just because of your platform, but you have substance, brother. A lot of people that have platforms don't have substance. You have substance. So first, let me ask, how was it talking to Barrett after his experience and him even being in the UK and things like that? How did that come about? How deep are you in this, brother? Because this is my first time ever hearing of you, and I was shocked, and I was like, man, we're right down the street from each other. So
yeah, I mean, it's funny how that works, and I'm very interested to hear, to the extent you can share, your background with Barrett, but because mine is not extensive at all. I mean, as I said to him, I think live, I've only known of his work over the last I don't know now, maybe 10 years or so, sort of indirectly through documentaries and reading some of his journalism and the journalism about him. Okay. And I was introduced in just doing research on the internet in preparations for a class that I was teaching.
Okay.
And and when I saw, well, this is a longer story, but when I saw what was happening, the short of it is when I saw what was happening with him and others like him, the work they were trying to do, and what happened in response by the state, I became at least somewhat interested, because I'm saying, if middle class white boys are being driven to suicide for trying to expose what this or how the state is using the media environment they in fact created, then what does that mean for the rest of us, and in particular for those wanting to engage in radical political organizing? So I sort of joked with him. I can't remember honestly if I joked with him publicly or privately. I can't remember what was said, but one of my jokes was that he was like the digital John Brown of sorts, and I know that that's not a fair, comparison, but I was trying to be in some ways provocative and at least trying to, and trying to make points with my students, all of whom are Black and or from the African world. many of whom don't know anything about the stuff that he's talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway, and I think that a lot of our own conversations in black politics and brown, black and brown world majority people's conversations, not enough of them involve this kind of critical look at what the internet and media and journalism are doing. So anyway, that was it. So I just reached out to him a couple times over the years and invited him to interviews, and for whatever reasons, he was never either available or able or free. Until just recently. And then of course, right after our interview, like what was it, a day or two later, he gets locked up again. And
2 days later.
So, and that's it. So and we've been in touch a little bit since. I've heard a little bit about what happened, and I look forward to learning more and just trying to, I don't know, just learn more about, the work that he's involved in. I think it's fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah. So, I wish we should have cross streamed this one, man. We really should have. We should have cross streamed this one, because I think your listeners would have loved to hear part of my story too. What I'll do is we'll dialogue, man. I'll send you the link to this and the video of this, and then you can decide if you want to throw it on your platform or not or whatever. But
and we can always, we can always have you on also. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
So, I'll say this word, and it should let you know how me and Barrett crossed paths. And it was anonymous.
Okay. Got it. Enough said. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
So I've always been for the empowerment of my people. I've always been for fighting against injustice and the elite squashing our heads. And I always said that the way that the elites are playing it now, it's not just about suppressing black folks. We were like the guinea pigs of what they're trying to do globally. And how we need to ban our unity is their fear, and us building for ourselves is their fear. We just passed the anniversary of Tulsa, and that goes to show you that when we unite, they're afraid of it to the point where they have to bomb us and come and do their thing. But anyway, so Jared, man, I've been an activist. I've worked for NSA. I've worked for CIA. I went back to being an activist.
Wow.
I've been fighting to get my what did I do with that paper? I know I put it back in here somewhere. Let me find the paper real quick. I've been fighting to get my FBI file, and I've been denied because they said I didn't give them enough information about myself. And so I got the ACLU lawyers involved. And here it is. So let me show you this real quick. So this was my original FOIA request. It's going to clear up in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you see it was November 5th, 2019, FBI. This was my original FOIA request. I don't live in that address no more, so it's okay. I don't care if people see it. So that was my original FOIA request. And when I open this document up, it states that I didn't give them enough information for them to pull a file together. But I'm asking for a file about myself. So how did I not give you enough information about myself? And then I found out that MediaJustice.org, who I've partnered with in the past as well, in fact, I forgot her name. I'm gonna put Maisha. Believe is her name. I'm gonna pull her contact information up. She had a relative that was the last surviving Black Panther that was a prisoner of war. Maisha is part of MediaJustice.org. I got her information here, and we were doing we did the whole Black Descent movement, the hashtag. We were at the Capitol. I was at the Capitol with them, on the Hill, should I say, with them as well, and trying to stop the FBI surveillance of Black activists and the harassment I've been under harassment since 2014. I was unaware though until 2015, 2016. I didn't realize I was under FBI surveillance in 2014. I was unaware of it. What happened was I had my this radio show back in the day. I was releasing a lot of information, just unclassified information, and putting things together through deductive reasoning, critical thinking, 1+1=2 type stuff, and found out that they have this project called the Black Awakening, where they have agents of chaos that are going to go and do violent acts to stir up the crowds, as in shooting unarmed black folks, or shooting a movie theater and disguising themselves as the Joker, things like that, or shooting churches where people are praying. Those things that we think is just a random act of a white person, some of those things are organized by the very government that we pledge our allegiance to. And people are afraid to have that conversation, Jared. And also, before I throw it back to you, what I began to do was take pictures and record the evidence of the surveillance. And that's what really got the ACLU lawyers involved and intrigued with my story. I even tried to go to media outlets, but I realized that the media outlets were infiltrated by people who block certain stories. And I felt discouraged, even with having the ACLU helping me with all of this and trying to get my file. And I got my file, by the way, which is heavily redacted. And all it says is under physical surveillance, and it gives times and dates. And everything else is just like squared off. And to be honest, man, I was very, very discouraged until I saw your show with Barrett. And I was like, I got to continue this fight. I got to continue telling my story, no matter who wants to hear it or who doesn't. And that's where I'm at right now, man. I have files and compiles of evidence of how they're not just targeting me, but any activist that speaks truth to power, that have influence. They're targeting them. Facial recognition. I remember the young man that they locked up because he put something on Facebook. Things like that, man. It's so much. It's so much. But anyway, how do you feel about all of this? Like, how do you feel knowing that just the fact that speaking truth to power could they can trump charges up on you, lock you up, make you plead guilty to a charge that you didn't even commit? When you hear these stories from people like myself or Barrett or anyone else, or John or anyone else, like, how does that make you feel as an individual?
Well, I mean, on some level, it's terrifying. I mean, this is the first I'm hearing of your story. I don't know the details, but so all I can fall back on is what the historical record seems to be pretty clear about, which is that the state will, want to intimidate people in any number of different ways out of being effective in activism or organizing movements that they deem unsanctioned. So in terms of how do I feel? I mean, I feel like this is, unfortunately par for the course, and the better we're organized and involved in organization, and clear about what it is we're trying to do and engaged in, the better we are. But I mean, on some level, I mean, it's just simply terrifying because in the sense that on some level, we do have to be aware that power has accumulated as it has for a reason.
Yeah.
And power can, when exerted against people, is I mean, it's again, it's meant anyway. But other than that, other than being clear that all of it is meant to make sure that the processes of exploitation and extraction continue, and when people stand up to challenge it, the state is going to have its response. And I mean, so that was, so that's why I'm saying that, and I started with, when I came across the story of Anonymous and Barrett Brown and Aaron Schwartz and folks like that, I was like, what's the name? I can't even remember the other white whistleblowers, but what's his name? Was it
John and Ed Snowden and
not just Snowden, but what was the other guy from the NSA?
oh God.
Anyway,
Aaron?
but who?
Aaron?
No. There was a anyway, it'll come back. But my point is, when I hear about them coming out, I'm just reminded, and it's interesting because I interviewed Dr. Joy James this morning, and she said something that I'm going to paraphrase for our purposes, that if we understand that, as I think we should, that media, social media, the digital environment we have has been planned and predicted and designed over decades specifically to suppress counterinsurgency, and Black American counterinsurgency specifically. Then something Joy James said, I think is appropriate here, where she talked about the how did she put it, the investment in existential whiteness, for white people can be like the bank account of existential whiteness that they would have could be removed immediately if it is seen as a protective measure or barrier or buffer to suppressing Black rebellion. So in other words, if necessary, and not to diminish what these folks have had to suffer, but just to paraphrase and think of it in the way that, for our sake, and in what Dr. James was saying this morning, that what the state has done to Aaron Schwartz and to Barrett and all these other white folks and Ed Snowden, whoever else has stood up to try to explain what is happening journalistically, what is happening with propaganda and psychological warfare, and this digital media apparatus and all of that, they have to be taken down, just as because they are threatening to weaken the ability for them to prevent this Black organized rebellion.
Yes.
So that if Black people became more aware of our media environment and how it works and how it's arrayed against us, and that it is designed specifically to prevent radical political organization, and that was like its core function, not to entertain, not to make money, not to advertise, not to inform, but to suppress counterinsurgency. Then I think we could see that if they got to sacrifice some white boys, some middle class white boys on, then so be it. And that's why. So that's why even my initial shock at like, damn, this is what they did. Like Aaron Schwartz is what is he? Co-founder of Reddit and co-creator of Reddit, and he's this teenage genius and this white middle class kid, and he's not studying guerrilla warfare in the hood with machine gun. He's not doing any of that. And it's like, damn. And they ruined his life and made it to the point where, as it said, at least, that he committed suicide. And think about how bad someone has to be, how far you have to fall from this middle class, affluent, white male position to, I'm going to kill myself because I can't stand what the state is doing.
That don't sound right.
And it's crazy. I understand that thought process, but I don't think Aaron did that. And I'm speaking from I'm speaking from someone who's I'll just say I don't think Aaron did that. I just I understand the thought process. Trust me, I've had it myself. Where I'm like, is this is too much? But anyway, let me shut up because I don't want to.
Hey, listen, I mean, I don't know. I'm just going. Look, I understand what you're saying. I understand. I certainly understand the potential for what could be the case. But my point specifically is only that either way, he was seen as a threat simply by exposing the consolidated corporate surveillance nature and consolidated nature of this digital environment that was and is and ever wrapping us in. And so I'm just saying that either way, he would have had to be marginalized, neutralized, removed. If as I'm saying, if I'm correct, and if others who I'm getting this, putting this together from are correct, that the media environment exists to suppress counterinsurgency, and people like Aaron are threatening our conventional and false understanding of what this environment is, then the threat becomes more clear, and it becomes, however you want to, or it is to be concluded what happened, it makes more sense. That's really all I'm trying to get to.
And I agree with your assessment. No, I'm not against that at all. I definitely agree with what you just said. Mo, did you want to say something?
No, I just want, I got a quick question. What do y'all think is the reason why? Because I feel as though there's an abundant amount of information out there, for people shouldn't be neglecting it anymore, especially if I feel as though black people shouldn't neglect it, especially what we seen them do to the Panther Party. And this is before the technology phase. But why do y'all think people just are not trying to believe it or don't want to believe it? What do y'all think is the main reason behind that?
Well, I mean, I think it's well, on the one hand, I think because of, as I said a minute ago, even, I have to acknowledge it's terrifying. First of all, I mean, when you think about, when you start to really think about the logical conclusions of all of this, it's terrifying. So that would be one part of it. But I would slightly disagree with you in the sense that we should expect people to get it because of all the information that's out there. I think quite the opposite. Because there's so much out there, it's almost impossible for people to get it. We're not organized. We're not studying. Even as much as we may read, it's different to read a book than it is to study it in a collective with senior, more expert. That's and then there's millions, one of the reasons why we started BPM is because, we're trying to make a point that it can't just be all of us out here with our own show. Yeah, it can't just be us out here like my blog is going to solve we need to bring people into conversation. We need to create new public spheres so that we can have not everybody fully agreeing, like even those of us who put the channel together aren't on the same page all the time, but to say we need to get more of us over here. And then lastly, to the point we're also getting at, is because so much of the environment that we're dealing with is a psychological operation. I mean, it is, they rebrand it as branding or marketing or advertising or entertainment or news or, politics, but it's really all a psychological warfare, and there's so much being thrown at us. It's impossible, I think, to expect people to any of us, much less black people who are out here, surviving blackness, to then, after all of that, and take all of this mass that's coming at us and put everything together in an organized way, organize around it, and change the world. That's a whole. Meanwhile, and then lastly, to the point that I think you were all getting at here, if the most powerful state in human history is interfering, I mean, we have to at least, not to say we have excuses to quit or whatever, but to say we at least have to be able to develop it as part of an analysis to understand why things may not be working out the way we would want it to.
Yeah, and I want to open it up to, if anyone that's watching have any questions or anything, please type them in the comments. We'll post it up, and you'll be able to ask your questions that way as well. But go ahead, Mo. Go ahead. Continue.
And I want to like bounce back on what you said. It is, terrifying to think about it. But on the opposite of that, why do you think so many people trust them though? Blindly trust them, because we can say that it's terrifying to think about, like, all of this information. Why would the government do this? But at the same time, why would you trust the government?
Same thing. When what's the, and I forgot the Latin term that they use for it, where technically we are the wards of the state, so to speak, and they lord over us like parents is really the point. So it's really, imagine just on the microcosmic level, the psychological challenge it would be for a child to not believe her or his mother or father.
Okay.
That's a nice like one. even when they're telling you something, they're like, man, this can't be right. I don't want to do this. To get to the point where you're like, they're willfully lying to me. I mean, nobody's
yeah, right.
And then how terrifying would that be to think that your own mother and father is intentionally lying to you to ruin your life? So nobody wants to think that. Like, and then again, there's all this other propaganda saying a lot of things like this country's great. The world, to the extent it's a problem, it's your fault and your own community's fault. And you don't, anyway. So, I mean, there's all this, and then we get, then we do get the pretty people on TV, and we get the movies, and we get the games, and we get a lot that is encouraging us to sort of stick around. And then even advertising is meant to work that way. Years ago, I was trying to make the point after 9/11, one of the reasons why commercial television went so quickly back to running television ads is because it's not just an ad for a hamburger. It's psychologically telling you that the world is okay, because how bad could the world be if there's a Burger King commercial on? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's like, are we really under attack? And you're telling me to go buy a Whopper? You know what I'm saying? So on some level, it's meant to calm you down and to say like everything's okay, even if you can't afford the car that they're advertising, or you can't, the pretty man or woman that you see on the screen isn't going to come home with you. Like it still is meant to
control,
ease us back. So I think it's just very difficult. That's why we have to be in organizations, and we have to be consciously struggling to improve ourselves and our community collectively. Otherwise, none of us can do this.
So would you concur to the sentiment that the biggest battle is a psychological one with our community?
I mean, I might say it. I might say it differently. I might say the biggest problem is a political one that we're not. But I think you could get to the same conclusion different ways. I mean, we could say that we're not politically educated, which is which would be one way of saying we're not psychologically attuned to do what we need to do or whatever. But the way I prefer to think of it is we are such a perennial threat that countless amounts of energy, time, and money and resources are put to suppressing our ability to improve the world. Like that's really, so yes, we have a lot of shortcomings. There's a lot of, individually I'm a mess, we're all like struggling with a whole bunch of different things.
Hey, Jared, what you just said right there, and I hate to cut you off.
Sure.
What you just said right there was so powerful. And again, it just encouraged me again, because what you just said, even when it comes to whistleblowing, or even when it comes to exposing the secrets or sharing your story, it's like it's more easy for these, well, not anymore, because the Intercept and all those people have been, excuse me, been a long day. The Intercept and those people have been kind of infiltrated, if you will. But it's easier for, and me and John talked about this earlier on tonight's show. It's easier for people like John's story or Ed's story or Barrett's story to be told. But when a young black man comes on and say, this is what I'm experiencing, it's like people question it or they shy away from it. And I'm glad that you just said what you said, because that's a part of the tactic as well as to suppress our stories. There was a lot of activists that were behind the scenes when Ferguson or whatever that end up missing,
Yeah.
that end up being burnt in the car,
Yeah, suicide in the
or
car.
suicide or whatever. Like it's a lot of, and there's some that hasn't even hit the media that you have to do research on to find out. Oh, well, this person died or this person hung themselves on a tree. I don't know any black person that would willingly hang themselves on a tree. Different things like that. But I'm just glad that I didn't mean to cut you off, so I just was glad that you
No,
said
I
that.
mean, and in fact, if you can give me, because I know we don't have that much more, longer to go, but if you could give me just a quick, summary, like what is your story? Like I'm not familiar with your story. Like what is, um, other than this quick background you gave tonight, like what is it that went on?
Man, a lot. So I have evidence of everything that I could say. I'm going to show you something real quick. This is not even part one. This is just a part of my story. So that was me when I used to work for NSA and CIA. That's number one. I have a whole folder on my phone that's entitled "Evidence of them folks." I don't know why it's not showing it. There it is. Evidence of them folks. I have a whole 50 photos. I have whole files on my computer and stored in other places just in case they try to delete that. I actually did a documentary in 2015 called The Inventors of Evil, and I had private showings of that documentary where I talked about in the documentary, I talked about the coronavirus. I talked about how they were trying to plot on the collapse of the dollar, how they were trying to stop black people from organizing and coming together.
You had coronavirus in 2015?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In fact, there was a book that was called the Eye of Darkness that was written by I forgot his name, but it was published in the 60s or 70s, where it talks about how the coronavirus is going to be unleashed and all that stuff. What people call sustainable development, we call Agenda 21. We think that that's something new. That was actually written in the 1700s. A lot of people don't realize that history of that writing. It was actually the first writing of it was 1776. Then the second the editing of that writing was in the 1780s. And then when the United States incorporated itself in the state of Delaware, that's when they had the third writing of it, and then it got revised in 1975. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They revised it the same year that they took homosexuality out of the DSSM. That was the same year that they revised. Yeah, one of those years. They revised this whole thing. People, do your research. Don't just use Google. Actually, do some research. But anyway, my story is this, man. I was a young activist who started a talk radio show. I was talking about how corrupt the government is and how evil the system is, from education to finances to politics and all that. And it's funny because I wasn't just talking that. I was talking about how we can clean up our own community, how we need to stop disliking and hating one another. I was talking about relationships. I was talking about the whole nine. So it wasn't like I was just targeting them. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, I became under FBI surveillance. In my FBI file, my surveillance started in 2014, but I was unaware of it until.
And this is after you left the NSA and the CIA?
No. This was before I even got there. So
you were talking trash about them, and then you joined the NSA.
So look, I did IT and access control for NSA, and transferred to the CIA. 2017, I stopped my radio show and was like, you know what? I'm gonna calm down because they were harassing my wife so much, my house so much, from knocking on my door to showing up at my church, my religious organization, doing stuff with the phones and, just going to spots I would eat at and just sit by tables by me and just harass. And they would, they use the same tactics. We're watching you, blah, 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 all that stuff. I don't want to, I'm skipping a lot of details because we'll discuss that when we have more time. But, long story short, I stopped my show in 2017. And then, I was like, you know what? Let me calm down. I knew somebody that worked at NSA. They was like, hey, we're hiring for IT. You're good with technology anyway. You don't have to worry about doing nothing evil or corrupt. Just come do some IT work. Cool. Nice little contract, $75,000 a year. I'll do it. Cool. Entry level IT stuff, access control stuff. Did that. And the whole time I'm there, I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. I don't like it. Started getting exposed to certain information. Had another friend who became my mentor, who worked for the CIA, older guy, older than me by like 20 years. And so I started working for that specific client, doing the same work, IT and Intel. One day I go to work and my mentor comes running to me outside and says, do not go inside that building. I said, why? He says, they're looking for you. And the client has their own police force. And so I was like, well, I got my bag and everything inside, so I'm gonna just go get my bag and I'll just leave and see what's going on. I go inside. My badge doesn't work. They take me to a room. They interrogate me for 8 hours. No bathroom. They have my personal text messages, emails. They have phone conversations. And they were trying to paint this picture like I was so anti-government, like I was trying to build this black militia to overthrow the government. And like I'm not Trump. I'm not the guy who incited the insurrection at the Capitol. Anyway, and I don't say that because I don't do the Republican Democrat stuff, Anyway, the left wing, right wing, you're still the same bird. So I believe local politics is what we need to focus on. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. But did all that for them to say, well, we're going to let you go because you were a former fighter. I was a former boxer. And they said that I made $2 million and I didn't disclose that in my financial disclosure. That's a lie. I never made $2 million boxing. I wish I did. I wouldn't be working for them if I did. And so from there, I picked back up on my activism in my radio show. And even now, I'm still under that surveillance. They've sent CI. They've sent people in my life to try to become my friends, and some was successful, some wasn't. And they were there sent to act like they were my brother, act like they were close to me, but really they were there to gather information about my life and report it back to them. And they've paid people's bills off in my religious organization for them to tell them information about my whereabouts. Because locally, I've done a lot of activism work and even helping people push towards activism. I did 1,000-man march in September 19th of 2020. We had over 3,000 people there. It was a peaceful protest. Packed in Annapolis. That's my original city where I'm from, is Annapolis, by the way. But I realized that my influence is what threatened them, because I moved out of Annapolis in 2007. I moved to the Midwest. I moved to the West Coast, back to the Midwest. I came back to Annapolis in 2013. I came back to this area in 2013. And I didn't realize how much of an influence I had outside of the state of Maryland until I started to be a lot more vocal about my beliefs and what I feel is going on. And then when that documentary dropped, that's what really put the icing on the cake. Then I helped people like Tariq Nasheed do his documentaries. I did some video editing for him as well, and I got
the Hidden Colors joints.
yes, and especially the and the last project that helped Tariq Nasheed was the 1804 Haitian Revolution documentary.
Oh wow, okay.
You know, I have all the photos and evidence of everything I'm saying. I've helped a lot of people in this so-called, I hate saying this, conscious community, because most of them are whatever. But you know, so I understand why they are targeting me and watching my movements and stuff. I just wanted a place to tell my story, so that if anything was to ever happen, my story would be out there from a narrative that's not painted by them. And that was my whole goal. And I met with a reporter from The Intercept. Her name starts with the A, her last name starts with the S. I just leave it at that. And she got a whiff of my story, started doing her own research. And when she was about to write my story, she got approached, and then she stopped. Yeah. So that's a little background on my story anyway.
No, I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I had no idea. That's anyway, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway. Listen, I unfortunately I only have, about the 10 more minutes. I do have somewhere to get, but I wanted, so if let me know if there's anything else you want to touch on before I bounce, and then I'll have to definitely, follow up and rap with you some more.
I want to know, this is the big reason why I want you on here. How can we as a community come together and begin to change the narrative of how we're portrayed in the media? Does that start with like shows like yours? Does that start with different blogs? Do we build our own news outlets? Do we teach ourselves? How do we go about establishing that, and how successful do you think that would be?
My answer is always the same, and it's vague. I admit it's just that, but the only way to assure that anything you want to happen will happen is to have political power. Yes. So I don't think, it wouldn't be for me. It wouldn't be. So I wouldn't think that the way I teach, or the media I try to produce or support producing, I don't think that is going to be what will change anything. I think, what I see myself as doing is encouraging the kind of organizing that would be required for people to have political power, so that all of these questions could be addressed, whether it's media representation or material inequality, or war, or anything else. I mean, all of these are the results of political power. So,
when you say political power, for the listening audience, when you say political power, what does that encompass?
I mean, it means, it's intentionally in this sense vague, but it means whatever mechanisms of state power exist that make the world the way it is have to be in the control of another group. So if Black people want, and this is again part of the terrifying part. Because the people who advocate this are and historically are always, among the most harshly targeted, because that's what everybody understands. If you want healthcare, if you want a redistribution of the wealth that we create, if you want, if you want an end to police violence or other forms of whatever, I mean, you have to have political power. So that means, if it means, a political movement that takes over the Democratic and Republican parties, then so be it. I don't necessarily see that as the path, but if it means creating a whole new society, then that's what it means. If it means the options are, the potential is endless. But I think that I have to be intentionally vague, because the only answers come from people being in real organizations and having these discussions off the record, off mics, in organized space. And then what people decide, but the goal, I think, has to be political power. And so I don't mean necessarily, just running for political office within the current electoral political situation. That's not necessarily what I mean. But at the end of the day, but at the same time, I'm also saying I don't necessarily want to prescribe what I mean either, or limit what that means. But it just means, but political power just means the ability to move society in a way that it needs to move. Last summer, to make up for the trillions or so lost through a lack of consumption, the 1% created laws, created a couple acts, passed some bills, and created money, redistributed money, and just gave it to themselves. That's political power.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It seems not to matter, whether it's Biden or Trump. Just as another example, I mean, Biden is literally extending Trump's policies from everything from building the wall to protecting the elite with their tax breaks. So that means that those who have political power are able to withstand whatever president gets elected. The wars keep going. The capitalism keeps going. So political power means that operation, or Marx, since I mentioned capitalism, if you control the means of production, that's political power. It's not starting a business. It's not electing an official. It's controlling the means of production. And he also added the means of mental production. So you have to be created. So that's political power. How do you set curricula? How do you set the news agenda? How do you set what is acceptable? What films get made? I still don't think there's a black person that can green light a film, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's changed very recently, but I don't think so. So, I mean, we don't have political power. And so that's what we would need to have to deal with any of these issues in a way that we would, want to deal with them.
I agree.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
Nah, I mean, shit, we can't greenlight our own music businesses. We've been honest. Like, we seeing conscious rappers getting suppressed.
Yeah.
No shade at Lil Baby and them, because I love they beats. I could, that get me right when I'm working out. But
sure.
Pay attention to the music that keeps getting, like, this is what's going into our young kids' minds and getting instilled into them. Talking about killing, robbing, drugs, etc. over and over again. And you know what I'm saying? Disrespecting our queens, though. Like, this is the stuff that's been, like, instilled in their head. And a lot of them can't extricate themselves from that. It takes a strong person to mentally extricate yourself from knowing to separate the music and do not instill the music in yourself. That's something hard to do.
I would want to just slightly disagree with that language. Like, I don't want to put it like, I don't want to couch it as people are weak. I don't want to condemn people. I want to understand that, for instance, those of us who claim or think that we have somehow broken free to a certain extent, I think it's almost always because of some interruptive process. Something happened along our development that interrupted us from the past we were. So
I wish you know it earlier when I said it. Like,
my bad. Okay.
Yeah, no, because I mentioned it earlier how at the point in time I looked up to a designer belt more than I looked up to my high school diploma. But what I'm saying is, though, when you catch like a 7, an 8-year-old and they listening to that type of music, it's easy for them to go down that type of path. Yeah. Because that's what they catching it early, and music is, in a sense, sometimes it's brainwashing. Because I could listen to some R&B and
it's
now
always brainwashing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So if this is some music that they've been listening to from that young age, and it's something over and over and over and over again, it's going to be easy for them to emulate it compared to someone who knows how to just be like, okay, this is just music. Because for a lot of people, music is life. You know, because music is something. Music helps you describe things that you can't describe. You know, I could go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, because and I'm sorry because I do have to run, but but I just would want to say it this way, that it's difficult to look at the problem and stand tall and want to fight. It's none of the luminaries we would point to historically can be understood outside of a context of collective political organizing and struggle. So nobody can do this by themselves. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want to suggest that anybody is strong or weak. No one is strong enough to do this by themselves. No one is strong enough to maintain looking this problem in the eye and fighting all of these years without some sort of collective working with them. Everybody will get taken out one way or another. If we're not working with others, we can't withstand it. So that's why I'm just trying to say, like, I may be strong enough today, but if I don't keep working with other people, I will become weak and I will get taken. I will just fall off.
And that's what I was saying. Yeah. That's what I was saying about watching your show. And I know you got to go in 1 minute, but I that's what I was saying about watching your show the other day, man. It gave me strength at a moment where I was feeling weak, and it's needed, man. We're all needed to help each other.
Yeah. So. No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you all reaching out, and I look forward to being in touch going forward. And thanks again, and forgive me for rushing off here. I just
no, you good. You right on time. You on the money, brother. You good.
Well, try to be organized.
We'll keep in touch, bro. I appreciate you.
Yes, indeed. Peace, everybody. Take care now.
All right, man. I'll catch up with you.
Yeah, so that was my man Jared Ball. Man, his show really encouraged me.
I think I figured out about him through this one sister, man. She's so intellectual, dog. She's big on the boys' work. Her name Dr. CBS, man. I be seeing her smoke all them fake black intellects on Twitter. Like,
yeah.
Dropping sources, links, pages, highlights. Like, if you gonna come at me, you better come at me with some heavy artillery, because I'm gonna smoke you. Like, because, my pops are Garveyite, right? And I'm gonna speed this up so you can get that out the way. But my pops believes that, Du Bois had a hand in hand with getting Garvey deported, and I was like, it's still up in the air, even though she provided her sources that Du Bois could have did more. Is how we say that the nation could have did more to protect Malcolm. But
right.
It was bumping heads, so it was
right. It was like whatever. Yeah.
But basically, she provided the letters that Du Bois sent. Like, man, I had nothing to do with that man's deportation. When I went to Blasey Bonheur, this is what I was talking about, and this is my speech right here. I didn't never tell the FBI deporting. I was like, I never seen that before.
A lot of times, man. Like, let me go back to us real quick. A lot of times, man. Like, people look bad at intellectual blacks. Even like athletic blacks, we try to find something that we can condemn them on. Know what I mean? Like, for example, Floyd fought Logan Paul, and I don't really want to talk about it, but like, you mad because a black man found a way to rob the bank?
Yeah, he finessed the system.
Like,
none of us paid for that fight. We all streamed it illegally.
Right. No cap though.
For sure, we know better than that. That's not us putting this money on Floyd, and Floyd knew. It's a video, and I'm gonna let y'all see this joint. Floyd knocked him out.
Oh yeah.
And grabbed him back up because Floyd knew where the money was at.
Right.
Floyd's not an idiot, man. That's why I be trying to tell people, like, y'all might laugh at him because he took all them shots to the head, so he may sometimes stutter when he read because he take a long process because his mind low.
Yeah.
CTE, you know what the vibe
right
is.
Next to a former boxer. I know all about it.
Yeah, so it's like, if him being a millionaire, but I'm I got a little impediment when I read, man. You know how many people I know personally. You know how many blacks, man, just to be in his position.
Right.
So I ain't never gonna clown him for that because I know people who are in $100,000 in debt to went get 3 to 4 degrees to make money, but they in debt. And
I'm not even gonna cap. I had hard times reading until I gave my life to the Most High. Like,
Bro,
for
that's-
real.
yo.
Like, literally, like studying the scriptures and stuff helped me grow in reading and being intellectual and stuff like that. Like, I wasn't really like into reading and stuff like that. But, you know, man, I wish my ACLU lawyers could have hopped on this joint. But I want to show my FBI file real quick.
You want to show the knockout before he does all these?
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Let me put it back on me, and then it's gonna go in there.
Don't tell me you messing with my.
No.
Look.
Bop, boop. And then held him up.
He's done right there. He held him up.
Yeah,
bro.
I
Like,
seen
come
it.
on, bro. That's Floyd know where the money is, bro. Floyd's a professional boxer. I don't care what nobody say, bro. Like, a lot of people look at him and he's not knocking out boxers, so they got the perception that he Muhammad Ali. Floyd is a defensive first boxer. He's protecting himself, and he gonna tag you while he's protecting himself.
Still
undefeated.
Yeah.
50-0. 50 have stepped to that man, and 50 have lost. Man, you can't deny it. You can't deny greatness.
So I wanna show this. I gotta show this. So this is part of my FBI files, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, it's heavily redacted. They have me under surveillance under a black identity extremist. This was 2018. They scattered the document so it could be hard to read, because if I was to scroll down a couple of pages, it would say 2014. It's 137 pages. These are pictures that they were taken as they were with me, and they had a agent or informant that took these pictures with me, or of me, should I say, in 2018. Let me keep scrolling down. Obviously this is heavily redacted. These are pages that they deleted to not expose themselves. Still got me under BIE, Black Identity Extremist, still getting information from a confidential informant. Surveillance notes that they're not sharing. They're not even saying the office that conducted the surveillance. This is a date where they stopped surveillancing me, but then they pick right back up. I can keep going on and on. I just want y'all to see this, man, because more more agents, because I more pages deleted. I gotta bring this up because a lot of people don't want to look. More pictures and notes that they took, and deleted pages and notes that they took from another informant. Oh, look, 2018, you have a physical surveillance operation that took place, surveillance operation orders that took place, and request of certain things. Whoa, by another agent. More pages they deleted. Physical surveillance. You see it all right here. Physical surveillance log. They took the agent's name out. As you can see, they don't even have the team's name on here. They have a team surveillance in me. By the way, this is 2018. I can keep going on and on. It's 137 pages. I mean, at this point, I don't know what to do, because if they didn't redact it, then we can see who was who and what was what.
Right.
We can see who's still a part of my religious organization that's giving them information.
For sure.
And I'm gonna keep saying that until they feel uncomfortable enough to leave, or they get orders.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let me keep going.
Or they get in a fake accident.
Car accident, whatever. Let me keep going. And going on the witness protection. But anyway, surveillance initiated, surveillance discontinued, 2018, and then they go right back at it. Same day, Go right back at it. Physical surveillance. What people need to realize is when they say physical surveillance, that means they actually, it's not just technology or digital. They have agents around you that are giving them intel about what you're doing. Mind you, with 137 pages, it must show that I have no criminal activity, or you would have been locked me up.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, that's a lot of pages.
And this ain't even the whole file because they deleted most of the pages. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me keep going real quick. I can keep going on and on. More deleted pages. Enclosed are the following items: handwritten surveillance notes from blank. Surveillance type blank. Started blank. End blanked. This was 2017.
This a whole bunch of blank.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of blanks from a physical surveillance log. Yeah. Anyway, let me go ahead and stop sharing this, man. Anyway, y'all don't know how wicked this government really is. Y'all really don't. You know, let me pull up this. Let me pull up this. Because this was back in Malcolm X day. Let me pull this up. Because I don't want nobody to think I'm capping. Let me pull this up. Bam. This is Malcolm X joint. This is 118 pages of part 1.
I was going to say, he got like
27.
Yeah.
You see it right there at the top. It says file 01 of 27.
Yeah, I remember I had to break it down to somebody. I said, I don't think you get like what they was trying to do with Malcolm.
Yes.
Like, he was so smart. A lot of people don't know. So it's a recording. When he had a conversation with the FBI agent.
I got the recording.
When he turned on the light, and that's when the light flicked.
Yeah.
It was his videotape record.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that, though.
Yeah, I got the recording. I got it. When they came to his house, I got the recording.
Yo.
And he was suspended at the time, and he was talking about how he got suspended because of his own misdoings. We got that. But look, even this was 1953, and they still got stuff redacted in his report.
Yeah, for sure.
This ain't no cap, ladies and gentlemen. This is not no cap. Look.
A lot of blacked out stuff.
I mean, do I gotta keep strolling? It's 118 pages in file 1 of 27.
Shoot, when Brother Wesley came through, he showed us when they blacked out all the names.
Yeah. So, look, got him praying. These are the stuff that's missing in my report. The notes, the surveillance notes. These are the surveillance notes on Malcolm when he's praying in the name of Allah, the great God of all the world, who came all the way here to hell just to free his long lost people from the clutches of the devil, in the name of his messenger who is teaching us that the white man is the devil and that America is hell. This truth is so strong and clear that not even the white man himself will deny it once he knows we know. And to prove that the white man's time is up on this earth, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is here in the white man's strongest country teaching this truth, and still they can't stop him. Allah is great. He has let the devil rule us long enough. Now he himself has come to reclaim us. I don't need to, bro. When my file is unredacted and still have black marks, y'all gonna look at this. Look at this.
Sheesh.
Oh man,
I know.
That's crazy. Good grief.
Folks will pay big bucks to see that information.
Right.
Boy, I tell you.
So anyway, let me stop sharing. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, get educated, man. Know those who are really here to make sure that you're okay. It's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that. I think I'm gonna end the show right then and there.
All right, man.
I
Catch
think-
up with y'all.
I think y'all got enough for tonight.
They got heat.
And you know, they was messing with my man John's information. Don't worry, my story's gonna be published very soon. We coming out. It's your boy Randy Chew, aka Mr. Chew on that. And I just want to say thank y'all for watching. Share this. Deuces.